Welcome everyone, welcome in. We're going to get started very shortly. Go ahead and drop where you're coming from in the chat. This is a good spot to remind folks. On your screen, you should see the mute or shut off Alexa. We're going to be talking about her extensively again today. So please go ahead and unplug or shut off Alexa. Otherwise, you're probably going to hear her go off quite a bit today. And we're going to get started in just one more minute. We just want to make sure that we let everybody trickle in. Again, if you guys want to share where you're coming from, we'd love to hear from you. Hi, Kelly. We see you from Krill. Welcome. It is now 2:02, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, just a quick reminder, if you have an Alexa, make sure that you are unplugging her or shutting her off. For today, we're going to be talking about routines and building accessible routines. We started this two-parter off on Tuesday, and that was unboxing and empowering. And so we'll have both of these videos archived and up on our YouTube channel, but hopefully you guys got a chance to see the first part where we talked about Alexa and setting her up, and also the emergency assist program. We'll go ahead and showcase some of the blogs that went along with that during this presentation today so that you guys can access all the information. So let me go ahead and begin. Thank you for joining us today for part 2, Smart at Home from Building Accessible Routines. I'll be your moderator today. My name is Michelle Rosado. I'm the Ability Tools Program Coordinator here. I'm a fair-skinned, middle-aged Latina woman with curly red hair. Today it's slicked back, and I have thick brown framed glasses. I'm wearing a black and white striped cardigan and hoop earrings. Behind me is my blurred background of my home office, and joining me today behind the scenes and serving as our tech hosts are going to be my fellow Ability Tools program coordinators, Amora Stahl and Anae Mendoza. They'll be our tech hosts for anything that you might need for assistance. You can message them directly in the chat. They'll be monitoring the chat and our Q&A today. So if you need any help with any technical assistance, feel free to send them a quick message. And then shortly, I'm going to introduce our special guest, Daniel Rosado. He's a smart home integration technician. Welcome, Dan. For those of you that joined us on Tuesday, you found out that this is my baby brother. And so we are excited that he joined us again and did me a big favor to kind of walk us through some of these integration and how to set them up. So please have your questions ready. I really hope that you guys can get a lot of information out of this. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. So let's do a quick accessibility check. As always, the recording is in progress, so you'll be able to find the archive video in the Ability Tools YouTube channel. If you joined us on Tuesday, you saw that we also are going to have mini videos in these trainings. Those are also going to be on our YouTube channel as part of a series. So you could either watch the full-blown trainings or you can just watch the snippets. We'll give you links for that information as well. Today, we've also enabled some accessibility features that you guys are all pretty familiar with. We have the Q&A, which is identified with the two little bubbles and the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. We have the chat that we like to use for links and comments if possible, but if you put a question in there, we'll definitely try to answer that as well. We also have enabled closed captioning today. And so you can access the closed captioning with the CC icon at the bottom of your menu. And you can also use the raise hand feature. We encourage you to participate, ask questions, leave comments. This information is for you all. Hopefully, this will make it a little easier and less daunting. We try to make it as simplified as possible so that beginners can kind of get some information that will get them ready to get their hands on some of these devices and maybe pairing and creating routines. So we really hope that this will help y'all. So your feedback's really important. Okay, and with that said, let's go ahead and go on to the next slide. So today's agenda, again, this is part two. We're going to go ahead and quickly go over how to access the smart devices from the DLDC library. We'll go over a quick recap about understanding skills, routines, and actions. And then we'll dive into the device demonstration and setting the routines. Daniel will go ahead and explain some of the solutions. Lastly, we'll get into the sharing Alexa routines, Alexa Gallery, and our final Q&A and discussion. So before further ado, let's go ahead and get into how to access the DLDC devices. So on your screen, you're going to see a QR code. Many of you might have already seen this and are familiar with this. This will be to access our public access DLDC page. You can connect for free short-term loans up to 30 days. You can try before you buy. The inventory varies between DLDCs, but all of the items that we're going to be showing you today, as far as the Smart Home Showcase, are available at 90% of the DLDCs. So you can go ahead and check these out or you can demo them. But if they're not at your local DLDC, you can still request them and they can get shipped to you. So part of this is to kind of encourage folks how to pair them, how to create routines and that kind of thing. So if you have any questions, how to access the information, you can also reach out to me directly. I'm at Michelle, Michelle, at cfilc.org. I help manage some of those loans. And so if you have questions or if you're having trouble accessing it, I'll be happy to help. As far as other devices, there's other things available at the DLDCs as well. There's items like magnifiers, walkers, tablets, laptops, adaptive software. So there's lots of different things that you can request for loan. If you want to learn more information, please reach out. And let's see, we'll jump over to our next slide. So here we're going to go over I'm going to hand it over to Daniel to kind of give us a quick recap on the skills, actions, and routines. We discussed these at our last training, but we thought for a quick recap and a better understanding, we kind of broke it down as like a kitchen metaphor this time. And so I'll kind of let Daniel jump in.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daniel Rosado. I'm a fair-skinned, bald, bearded Hispanic man. I have my blurred out background of my work office, and it's because I have so many computer parts all over the place. I don't want to show you guys the mess. And my microphone is right in front of me. So, like Michelle mentioned, when we did this on Tuesday, we went over what skills, actions, and routines are. This time around, we're kind of putting it into more of an analogy, so maybe it'll help stick a little bit more. Skills would be considered like the ingredients to what all of this builds up to. Actions are kind of the same, and routines being everything put together. And you'll see as we go through the examples for everything, kind of how these routines and action or how these actions build into the routines. And by the end of it, you should have at least a very basic concept of how we stack this. So to keep with the analogy, you can think of a lot of the actions as the ways that we prepare the sandwich, and while the routine will be, the finished sandwich at the end of it all. Um, to Before we get into any of the other stuff, though, there is a bit of a checklist that we like to go over when it comes to these things. Um, and the reason being is if this stuff isn't set up beforehand, it can turn into a bit of a rabbit hole trying to assist people to either create these accounts or help them retrieve these accounts. So before, what I would suggest is you vet kind of who you're going to assist with this or who wants to kind of do these sort of things, and you just ask them, do they have these already? Main one being the Amazon account. Without the Amazon account, we can't connect to, excuse me, through the Alexa app and get all the really more intricate pieces together because that's the starting point. You do have to have a smartphone or a tablet to set this up. Specifically, if say you want to allow phone calling through an Alexa, it has to be set up on a smartphone because Alexa needs to know that there's a phone number that is registered and it can use to make the phone calls. Otherwise, if you don't plan on making any phone calls through Alexa itself, you can use either one. Um, you do want a private Wi-Fi connection. And by private, I mean, if say you're ever at a Starbucks or out somewhere and they tell you that there's free Wi-Fi to connect to, that's considered public Wi-Fi. A good example that I give when it comes to this is some of the people that I used to assist when I was doing IT work. They would use essentially their building's Wi-Fi, which is shared among all the people that live there. We want to avoid doing stuff like that. One, for security. You don't want to be on such an exposed network with tons of other people. But two, a lot of this stuff just doesn't work correctly. For instance, if your neighbor has an Alexa themselves or one of these smart devices, it doesn't really know where to search. It sees all these other things and it may or may not work with what you connected. So a private Wi-Fi connection is always what you want to go with. And then, of course, the Amazon Alexa app. That is what's going to build, like what we were saying, the sandwich itself with the skills and the routines to actually flesh all of this out. And once we get to the videos, you'll see a little bit more of what I'm talking about when it comes to the skills and routines. But that'll come soon.
So let me just quickly touch base. We have set up all of these routines and in blogs. So just a quick recap. For Tuesday, we did do the Amazon Echo setup made easy. So you'll see the thumbnail for it here. You'll see the Amazon Echo. You'll see a person holding a mug, talking on the phone. The Amazon Echo is on their desk. It looks like they're doing some office work. There is a link that to these blogs, and it's the full training guides. So we'll have them each individually for you set up, and we'll be dropping those in the chat. If you'd like to see this one, we'll go ahead and throw that in the chat as well. They're already available. All of the videos, the small snippet videos, are already uploaded on our YouTube channel as well. So again, you'll have the written guides, you'll have the videos, these full-blown segments that you can access. And so we're trying to make it as simple as possible for you. Let me go ahead and drop the next slide. This was the second part of the training on Tuesday. This is subscribing and setting up Amazon Alexa Emergency Assist, which is a great service. It's a subscription service to be able to contact emergency services if needed. More information is found again on the blog, on the training blog, and then there's also a video link. So we've dropped both of those in the chat for you as well. And now we'll kind of go through what today's training is all about, which is kind of diving into these routines. So how we set this up today is we're going to go ahead and share a scenario. And then Dan will share the solution with us and how to set it up. So I'm going to go over the first one with everyone. And again, keep in mind, I know many of you working with consumers, there's never a one size fits all. These are specifically selected as solutions that we already have in our loan closet, but obviously there's a lot of different ways that you can skin a cat. So you can definitely find different items that you can pair, other ways that will work for your consumer. We just want you to kind of think out of the box. So we created some scenarios here so that you can see how it would work. So for this first one, we have automating lighting for independence. Maria is a wheelchair user with limited upper body mobility. Each morning, she needs light to safely transfer from her bed to her chair. But the lamp switch is difficult to reach without assistance. So how can we kind of figure out how to create a solution for her using these smart devices. Next slide, please. And I'll hand it over to Dan for this one.
So for this scenario in particular, we would use what's called the third reality smart plug. On the left-hand side, you can see the smart plug itself with the title card underneath it, and it's trying to showcase the full connectivity of kind of how these devices work together. And as we go through the rest of the slides, you'll see the items change, and I'll make sure to call it out as to what specifically we're going to go over. But again, for this instance, we're talking about the third reality smart plug that's paired with her Amazon Echo device. And the reason that this is helpful for her is because we create a routine that every morning at 7 a.m., it will just turn on the lights. It eliminates the hassle of movement since it's already possibly a difficulty for her. And it allows that just another small ease of life to kind of permeate through. And you'll see in the video itself how we actually go about setting the entire thing up. And this is kind of the part that we want you to really at least focus on to start getting a little used to how we set these up, how we create the steps, how we create the routines. And we tried to keep it as simple as possible. And you'll see a lot of probably the same steps over and over again, but it's more along the lines of, repetition is going to be helpful at the end of the day. And the more you see it, the more you get used to it, the easier it is, and possibly a little less anxiety as far as feeling like you can approach something like this.
And before we move on, Dan, I want to point out that on the left of the screen is also the thumbnail that we used for all of these blogs. So you'll notice that Amora and Ane dropped the Ability Tools blog for smart home device setup, third reality. If you want to follow along, you're more than welcome to open up the blogs. It literally will have a step-by-step for you. It also has a link embedded to the video we're about to show. So again, this is supposed to be as easy as possible. All the work's done for you. As far as the scenarios, of course, you guys can figure out other ways that you compare them and things like that. But I just wanted to point that out. We'll do that for each of these situations.
Mhm.
And with that said, I think we can go ahead and move on to the video.
In this video, we're going to go over how to set up a third reality smart plug. Before we begin, you need to make sure you own a Amazon Echo device with a built-in Zigbee hub. Reason being is that's the type of technology we need in order for this to connect. To start, you're going to insert the third reality smart plug into a live outlet near your Echo. The plug's LED will blink rapidly for up to a few minutes to indicate pairing mode. If the LED stops before pairing, press and hold the plug's button for at least 10 seconds until it blinks again. Now you're going to open the Alexa app. You're going to tap the plus icon in the top right corner. Tap Device. And you're going to scroll all the way down and select Other. Tap Zigbee. And then you're going to tap Discover Devices. It's going to search for the smart plug that's going to be connected. It should inform you that the plug was found. Tap Next. You're going to select where you're using this plug, for example, like your living room, your kitchen, or your bathroom. Then you're going to tap Add to Group. Now it's probably going to give it a generic name, and that's okay for now. You're going to tap Continue, then tap Done. Now we're going to change the name that it was given. You're going to tap on Devices. And Devices icon looks like a small light bulb in the bottom left corner. Now under Devices, you're going to tap whatever Alexa happened to name the plug. For this example, Alexa named ours First Plug. We're going to tap the settings icon, which is in the top right corner. It looks like a little gear. You're going to tap edit name and change it to whatever is easiest for you to say, since this is the name you'll say when you tell Alexa to turn it on or off. For this example, I just named mine living room plug. Now you're going to test the voice command and say, Alexa, turn on, and then whatever it is that you named it, as well as Alexa, turn off whatever it is you named it. If it works, you got it right. Now that we have it set up, we're going to go over an example of how we can use it. For this example, we're going to set it to turn on a living room light every morning at 7 a.m. To start, we're going to plug in the living room light into the Third Reality smart plug. Now for this to work, the light has to always be turned on because the plug itself is what's going to turn it on and off afterwards. So we leave it on, and then we're going to need to create a routine inside of the Alexa app to get it to function the way we want. So we'll open the Alexa app. You're going to tap Devices, which is the little light bulb icon in the bottom left corner. You're going to tap on the name of the plug that you created. Then you're going to tap on Create Routine. You're going to tap the plus icon in the top right corner to create a new routine. Under where it says When, you're going to tap the plus sign to the right of where it says Add an Event. Tap Schedule. Tap At Time. And to the right of where it says Repeat, it's set to every day, which is what we want. Now you can change this to whatever specific days you'd like. So we're going to select 7 a.m. for the time. Then we're going to tap Next in the top right corner. Under where it says Alexa Will, we're going to tap the plus icon to the right of where it says Add an Action. You're going to tap Smart Home. You're going to tap Plugs. And then tap the empty checkbox to the right of the name of your plug. We're going to tap Next in the top right corner. And we're going to select Power and On if they're not already selected. Tap Next. Tap Save. And now the routine is created. So every single day at 7 a.m., the plug will turn on. And as long as I have my light switch set to on all the time, the light will come on too.
And I want to allow for y'all, we have some extra time built in. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, drop it in the chat, drop it in the Q&A. We'll try, especially if it's about what we're talking about, we'll try to do our best to answer. But we've got a little bit of extra time built in, so feel free. Okay, so our next scenario is we're doing an audible alert for motion detection. So James is recovering from major surgery following a serious car accident and is currently unable to get out of bed during his recovery. He often misses when his caregivers enter his home, so especially through the side door or the back door, because he can't hear the door open from the bedroom. So now we're going to go ahead and go over what solutions might work for James. And go ahead,
So,
Dan.
so for this one, we're going to use the AOTech motion sensor and the Alexa itself. That's essentially what we're going to kind of have come together to create the solution we're looking for. So as far as the scenario is concerned, we place the AOTech motion sensor near the back door, and we pair it with the Amazon Echo and set the routine that whenever motion is detected, Alexa is going to play a doorbell sound on the Echo speaker itself. Um, This can be changed to be like a notification on the phone or, other ways of notification. But for this specific one, we're going to have it set to the Alexa to play the sound along with it. And as you can see on the left-hand side, like Michelle was mentioning, that's also what the blog post will look like. We have the AOTech motion sensor in the center, title card underneath it with the name, and showing that it where it falls in this whole kind of smart home category, being more of like the camera, surveillance, security type thing. Um, so we can move on to the video. In this video, we're going to go over how to set up an AOTech motion sensor. Now, before we start, you have to make sure you have an Amazon Echo device with a built-in Zigbee hub. Reason being is this is the type of technology that it needs in order to connect directly to it, and there are many different models that do have this, so you may have to do a little bit of research ahead of time to find one that fits your wants. Now, before we begin, we have to assemble the motion sensor, and there's only 3 parts to put together. First, you're going to take the magnetic ball and stand, and you're going to press it into the back plate groove. You'll feel it kind of grab and snap into place. You'll then pull the battery tab that says remove when connecting, and then just press down on the battery to make sure it's pushed all the way in. Lastly, you'll slide the back plate up into the motion sensor. There are grooves on the back plate, so you need to make sure you line them up and then press them up into the motion sensor until you feel it click. After that, you should see a light begin to alternate on the front between green and red, and that lets you know it's in pairing mode. If the light isn't flashing, you can reset it by gently pressing something very thin like a pin needle into the pinhole on the back of the motion sensor. From there, we're going to add the motion sensor into the Alexa app. So you're going to open the Alexa app, and then you're going to tap the plus icon in the top right corner. Then you're going to tap Device. You'll then scroll all the way down to the bottom and select Other. You're going to tap on Zigbee, and then you're going to tap Discover Devices. It's then going to search for the motion sensor that we're going to connect. And this search can take up to a minute, so you may need to wait a little while. Once it finds it, it should inform you that the motion sensor was found. You'll then tap Next. You're then going to select the area you're using the motion sensor, like your living room, kitchen, family room. And once you select it, you're then going to tap Add to Group. It's going to give it a generic name and say it was added to whatever room you selected. You're going to tap Continue, then tap Done. Now we're going to go ahead and change the name that Alexa gave it to something a little more customized. If it's not already on the screen, you're going to go down to the bottom left and tap on Devices. It's the icon that looks like a little light bulb in the bottom left corner. From there, you're going to tap on the motion sensor with whatever name Alexa gave it. For this example, it's just called First Motion Sensor. You're then going to tap the settings icon, which looks like a little gear, in the top right corner. You're then going to tap Edit Name and change it to whatever is easiest for you to remember where you place the device. For this example, I just named it Living Room Motion Sensor. You'll then tap anywhere on the screen to finalize it. Now, motion sensor by itself doesn't actually do anything, so we do have to create a routine in order for it to work. For this example, we're going to create a routine to play a doorbell sound through our Alexa whenever the motion sensor detects movement. To start, we're going to go to the bottom left and tap on Devices. It looks like the little light bulb. From there, we're going to tap on the motion sensor's name, and then we're going to tap Create Routine. We're going to tap the plus icon in the top right corner to create a new routine. Under When, you're going to tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Event. We're going to tap Smart Home, tap the name of the motion sensor, then tap Motion. Then you're going to tap Detected, tap Next in the top right corner. Then under Alexa Will, tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Action. You'll then scroll all the way down to the bottom, tap Sounds, tap Bells and Buzzers, then tap Doorbell 1. Then underneath Hear Alexa From, we're going to tap plus sign, choose device. Then you're going to tap the name of your Echo, whatever the name may be. For this example, it's just Daniel's Echo. Tap Save. Now the routine is created. So whenever the motion detector senses movement, Alexa will chime with a doorbell sound. This is good if you have a back or side door that doesn't get much use, or if you have an entryway and would like an additional gentle notification when someone comes in. So I want to point out that from the second video, you can see that there's a lot of repeated steps, and this was by design, is like we mentioned earlier, is we really want kind of the repetition to sink in, to really see like you most of the time you're going to go here, you're going to go here, you're going to go here, and it just becomes this kind of second nature when you start creating these things. And it's also why we stuck to very basic routines to begin with, to not overwhelm with, 20, 30 steps to create one giant routine. Just create a simple one, get that going. And as you learn more and more about these, it allows you to build more and more on top of it. You muted, Michelle.
Thank you. That's a good point, Daniel, that you want to make sure that you're comfortable with setting up the like kind of going. Um, so yes, this is meant to kind of not only be easier, beginner kind of level too, so that it's a little less daunting. And I know it's repetitive, but the other part of it is to figure out different ways, because I know kind of seeing that there's a possibility that maybe the other device could work well with this scenario, or this device might work well with this scenario. So again, you guys can choose what works for you or for your consumer. Um, so yeah, that right now I believe we have 4 demonstrations for you to show, and then we're gonna have a little bit more going on. Um, so for this next one, this one is gonna be peace of mind for a caregiver or a person with a cognitive disability. So this one I have actually had a consumer reach out who could have used something like this. So this, and hopefully that will get you thinking about consumers that have reached out with different scenarios like this and maybe things that you could suggest. So with this one, we have Teresa lives with early stage dementia and sometimes has begun to wander outside and forget where she is. Her daughter, Elena, who is also her caregiver, worries that Teresa will leave the house unexpectedly and then potentially get lost or hurt. So one solution that you can come up with, a simple solution. Go ahead, next slide. And I'll let Daniel take over.
Uh, so a simple solution for this one is the third reality door sensor. The sensor itself is installed on the front door and connected to the Amazon Echo. And then Elena sets up the routine so that every time the front door opens, Alexa sends a custom notification to her phone, letting her know that the front door has been opened. And this is, like Michelle mentioned, this is very good to kind of like the entry level of these types of devices. Because in reality, say we set up the door sensor and you want to get a little more technical with it, you can add the cameras, you can add the motion sensors, you can add all of these things on top. But for this specific one, we're just going to talk about the door sensor itself. And as you can see on the left-hand side, that's the picture of the door sensor. And it's really small. It's only two pieces. And there's two pieces that you'll see in the video, how they pretty much magnetically connect to each other. And that's how it lets you know that something is open or closed. Um, and it fits in the smart home, obviously, with some kind of security, because it's not just doors that you could put it on. And I believe I mentioned this in the video. This is windows, this is, chests, closets, whatever it may be. Like, as long as the sensors can line up and talk to each other, you could put it on there and use it.
And Amore? Perfect.
In this video, we're going to go over the setup of the third reality door sensor. Before we begin, you need to ensure you have an Amazon Echo device with a built-in Zigbee hub. There are many different models that have this, so you may have to do a little research to see which ones fit your wants. An additional note before we begin, this is officially called a door sensor, and we're going to refer to it as such, but this can be used for anything that it fits. Windows, boxes, storage containers, chests, etc. The information, guidelines, and setup for this device will be the same for those as well. Now, to set up the door sensor, you're going to remove the back plate from the sensor and insert the AAA batteries. It'll start blinking blue on the front of the device, letting you know it's in pairing mode. If the LED stops blinking before pairing, you're going to press and hold the button next to the battery compartment until you see a red light. Then release the hold. The LED should start blinking blue again to let you know it's back in pairing mode. Make sure your Echo device is powered on and is in proximity to the door sensor. You'll say, "Alexa, discover my devices." Alexa will search for and, after a little bit of time, recognize the door sensor, assigning it a default name like First Contact Sensor. To test that the door sensor is working correctly, you're going to place the door sensors together with the indents on the faceplates parallel to each other. If the indents aren't parallel and next to each other, the device won't work correctly. You'll open the Alexa app and click on Devices, which is a little light bulb icon in the bottom left corner. Click on the default name Alexa gave your door sensor, and when on the screen that says closed, pull the sensors apart to see if it goes from closed to open. If it changes when you do that, it's working correctly. Now for installation. When picking a spot for the door sensor, you want to make sure the surfaces are as even as possible due to how the sensor works. After testing where you want to place it, put the adhesive down before pressing firmly and holding the sensors in those places for at least 30 seconds. Now this is optional, but something I always like doing. We're going to name the device. Back in the Alexa app, we're going to tap on Devices. Again, looks like a little light bulb in the bottom left corner. Under Devices, you're going to tap whatever Alexa named the door sensor. For this example, Alexa named it First Contact Sensor. We're going to tap the settings icon, which looks like a little gear, in the top right corner. Then we're going to tap Edit Name and change it to wherever you place this door sensor. For this example, I name mine Front Door. Then you're going to tap Return or Enter, so it registers the name. For the example use in this video, we're going to set it up so we get a notification on the smart device whenever the door opens. To create the routine, We're going to open the Alexa app. We're going to tap Devices. There's a little light bulb icon in the bottom left corner. We're going to tap on the door sensor's name, then tap Create a Routine. Tap the plus icon in the top right corner to create a new routine. Under When, you're going to tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Event. Tap Smart Home. Tap the door sensor's name, then tap Open. We do this since we want the notification whenever the door opens up. Tap Next in the top right corner. Under Alexa Will, tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Action. You'll scroll all the way down and then tap Notifications. Tap on Send Push Notification. You may get a screen that asks you to allow the Alexa app permission to send notifications. Tap Continue, then tap Allow. Tap where it says Enter Notification Message and type in whatever you want the notification to say. For this example, I typed, "The front door has opened." Tap Next in the top right corner. You'll get a confirmation screen that lets you know Alexa will send the notification. So tap Next again. Then tap Save. Now, the routine is created, and every time someone opens the front door, a notification will come to the smart device letting you know. So again, just pointing out, repetition is key when it comes to stuff like this. I also wanted to, I don't think we mentioned it before, but a lot of these videos are really going to be best utilized kind of after the fact for people who are possibly renting these or, have something of their own and they would like a more like visual, like step-by-step guide versus just reading a document by itself. Because at least with the videos, they can follow along. It shows them like where to press on the screen with each thing. And again, that helps build that muscle memory, helps build with the repetition, of course, of how to go about this process and give you that ease so you feel a little more comfortable going through it by yourself.
Our next one is going to be reducing fatigue for a person with low vision. Excuse me. So Angela lives with low vision and experiences cognitive fatigue in the mornings. It makes it difficult to navigate her home safely in dim lighting. So finding and flipping the light switches can be kind of disorienting and frustrating, especially when she's getting ready for school. So our solution is
The third reality smart switch. So the smart switch itself is something that actually installs on top of a light switch, and it allows for automation between it because you can just ask Alexa, Alexa, turn on the light switch, Alexa, turn off the light switch. So for the example that we're giving, we installed it on the hallway light and connected it to the Echo device. Angela sets a routine so the hallway light automatically turns on every day, every weekday at 6 a.m. before she gets out of bed. And obviously, depending on the lights you connect to that, that can be extremely bright. It'll wake you up. But we'll go into the oh, sorry. So on the left-hand side, you can see the smart switch itself. It doesn't look like much, but most of it's kind of on the backhand side. You'll see in the video itself, that's where essentially the switch will go into. That's the whole mechanism that moves it up and down with the title card and showing that the smart switch itself in the smart home ecosystem obviously falls under lighting and power. In this video, we're going to go over the setup of the third reality Smart Switch third generation model. Now before we begin, you need to ensure you have an Amazon Echo device with a built-in Zigbee hub. There are many different models, so you may have to do a little research to see which one fits your wants. A note before we begin, Make sure you're not installing this on a light switch that controls the power for your Amazon Echo. If you turn off the light switch, you lose power to the Echo and can't give voice commands to turn it back on. Now, before we start, you're going to need the two AAA batteries that came in the box, a screwdriver to remove the existing faceplate screws, and if you have a rocker light switch, which is those flat ones, you also want to grab the stickers because you're going to place those on top of them. Now, before we install, you're going to remove the back cover of the smart switch and insert the two AAA batteries. Replace the cover when it's done. You should notice that it starts blinking with a blue light, letting you know it's in pairing mode. And just make note that the end that the blue light is on is considered the top of the smart switch. You're going to ensure the actuator, which is the little white rectangle part that moves the light switch up and down, is in the up or on position, as well as your light switch being in the on position. If it's not, press the button on the smart switch and it should get into the correct position. You're going to adjust the spacers as needed to ensure proper engagement between the smart switch and your wall switch. The spacers needed is going to be different depending on your particular light switch. For this example, I had to use the biggest ones, which are the 3mm. So it's going to take a little experimentation before you find what works best for you. Now, this is also the part that if you do have a rocker light switch, you're going to place the stickers on the light switch. You're then going to remove the screws from the light switch faceplate. Then you're going to place the bracket with the spacer you found for your light switch and screw it all back in together. You're going to press the third reality smart switch onto those brackets until you feel it take hold. To test if it's holding well, just gently pull on it. If it doesn't pop right off, you should be fine. Now we are going to pair it, but we're not going to do it through the Alexa app. Now, to pair this, you want to make sure the blue light is flashing. If it's not flashing anymore, press and hold the big button on the smart switch for at least 20 seconds. You will see the blue LED start flashing rapidly, which lets you know that it's in pairing mode. You're going to make sure that your Echo device is powered on and within the range of your smart switch. And then you're going to say, Alexa, discover my devices. Alexa will search for, and after a little bit of time, recognize the smart switch, assigning it a default name like first switch. And it will tell you that it found it. To test it, you're going to say, Alexa, turn on first switch, or Alexa, turn off first switch. Again, this should be the normal default name it gives it, but if not, just test it by saying, Alexa, turn on whatever it did name it. Now, this is an optional thing, but something I like doing is we're actually going to name the light switch. So in the Alexa app, we're going to go down to the bottom left and tap on devices. It looks like the little light bulb in the bottom left corner. Under devices, you're going to tap whatever Alexa named the new smart switch. For this example, Alexa named this one first switch. We're going to tap the settings icon, which looks like a little gear in the top right corner. You're then going to tap edit name and change it to wherever you place this smart switch. For the example, I named this one living room switch. You're then going to tap return or enter so it registers the name. And then you're going to test it again. Say, Alexa, turn on or off, and then whatever you named it. If it worked, it's all set up. Now for the example, we're going to have Alexa turn on the light switch every weekday morning at 6 a.m. And we're going to tap devices, which is the light bulb icon in the bottom left corner. You're going to tap the smart switch's name and tap create routine. Tap the plus icon in the top right corner to create a new routine. Under When, you're going to tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Event. Tap Schedule. Tap At Time. To the right of Repeat, you're going to tap Every Day. And for this example, you're going to tap Sunday and Saturday to remove the check marks to the right of them. That way it's only working Monday through Friday. Tap Save in the top right corner. Tap to the right of At Time and select 6 a.m. Tap Next in the top right. Under Alexa Will, tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Action. Tap Smart Home. Tap Switches. Tap the empty checkbox to the right of your smart switch name to select it. Tap Next in the top right corner. Power and On are already selected, so tap Next. Tap Save. Now that the routine is created, every weekday at 6 a.m., the smart switch will turn on the light switch if it's currently turned off. After this, you're all done.
So next we're going to go ahead and go into visual cues for shared awareness in a deaf and blind household. So Sam lives with dual sensory loss, deaf and blind, and shares an apartment with his support aide, Jordan. While Sam doesn't use auditory cues, Jordan needs a way to know when Sam leaves his room or opens the front door. They're both looking for a non-disruptive way to stay coordinated without constant verbal check-ins or monitoring.
So for this scenario, this is the first one that we kind of step into using multiple routines. Um, and for the example, we have it set where Sam's front door is equipped with a third reality door sensor, which is one of the videos we showed previously. And in this one, we'll show a smart light bulb, and that's installed in the shared living room. They use the Alexa app to set up two routines. Again, we're not going to make it too complicated. We're just going to keep building little by little. Um, so when the door opens, the light turns green, and when the door closes, the light turns white. So it's a constant notification, and it'll always work in the background. And you'll see when we go through and set it up how it kind of works that way, because you to have something kind of get to this point, you have to make sure you make multiple steps so it knows what to do when it's on, or sorry, when, like in this instance, when the door's open and when the door's closed. Because if, say, we only set it up one way, the door can get opened, the light turns green, and then it never changes again. So we have to do that second part of making sure it changes when the door closes again. So on the left-hand side, you can see that the echo's in the middle, with the door sensor on the left and the smart light bulb on the right. And this will be the kind of the main crux of us using multiple routines, and hopefully, the videos that we watched previously help make this feel a little more comfortable and help build into this. In this video, we'll be combining multiple routines to create something completely new. To keep it simple, we're going to connect a smart light bulb to a door sensor. When the door opens, the light will turn green, and when the door closes, it will turn back to white. This kind of setup can help provide clear visual cues, and in the following steps, we'll walk through how to set up this system using two separate Alexa routines, one for when the door opens and when it closes. As a note before we begin, the smart light bulb has already been connected and renamed. This video is simply to showcase how to set up multiple routines at the same time. For the first routine, we're going to turn the light bulb green when the door opens. We're going to open the Alexa app, Tap Devices, which is the small light bulb icon in the bottom left corner. We're going to tap on the smart light bulb's name, then tap Create a Routine. Tap the plus icon in the top right corner to create a new routine. Under When, tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Event. Tap Smart Home. Tap the door sensor's name. Tap Open, and we do this since we want the light to change when the door opens. Then tap Next in the top right corner. Under Alexa Will, tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Action. Tap Smart Home. Tap Lights. Then tap the box on the right to select the smart light bulb's name. Tap Next. You'll then tap Set Color, followed by Select. Tap the color green, then Save in the top right corner. Tap Next. Lastly, tap Save. Now that routine covers the opening of the door. Now we have to create a second routine for the closing. Tap the plus icon in the top right corner to create another routine. Under When, tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Event. Tap Smart Home. Tap the door sensor's name. Tap Close if it's not already selected. We do this since we want the light to change when the door closes. Otherwise, it would stay green after the door opens. Tap Next in the top right corner. Under Alexa Will, tap the plus sign to the right of Add an Action. Tap Smart Home. Tap Lights. Tap the box on the right to select the smart light bulb's name. Tap Next. Tap Set Color and then select. Tap on the color white and then Save in the top right corner. Tap Next. Tap Save. Now, the light bulb will change color anytime the door opens and closes. This is simply an example of one small way routines can work together to make life a little easier. Please, play around with your own combinations. Maybe make one where a light turns blue when it's time to take medication. Or have a hallway light turn on automatically when a motion sensor detects someone getting out of bed. There are many creative ways to use routines to support your day-to-day life, and it's encouraged you explore what feels most helpful and comfortable for you.
So now that we've finished up with the routines and the examples that we gave you, we want to give you some really helpful resources that Alexa has built in. And so a majority, like we said, of this training, we realize that folks are going to go back when they're actually doing the pairing or if they're needing to do a quick tech support if something's not working properly and they want to see if they missed a step. But we want to make sure that you also have access to all of this information and know that there's additional stuff always being added. So one of the things that the Alexa app has is the Alexa's routine gallery. And this is actually is a collection of pre-built routines designed to simplify daily tasks and automate smart home actions. So you can find it within the Alexa app under More, and then under Routines, and then under Gallery. So it offers a variety of featured routines that you can enable and customize. You can create your own from scratch. But here in the example off to the right, you notice that there is a menu where it says Gallery. In the center, you see your routines. And then off to the right, you see activity. So we're under the gallery menu. These are some of those pre-built ones. So we have one that says garbage day. Alexa will remind you about garbage pickup and the night before. Um, Again, these are pre-written. They're already in there with everything. Kid bedtime timer is the second one. It says Alexa will remind your kids it's almost bedtime and set a timer for 30 minutes. And then start my day. Alexa will tell you news, traffic, and more. So this is a really useful tool in case you want to kind of play around with what's already there and you can customize it. Um, we wanted to make sure that you knew how to access those as well. And then on the next slide, this is actually probably something that most of you guys will be interested in. We didn't have time to create a video on this one for you, but we did give you a step-by-step guide on how to share Alexa routines. And so I'm going to let Dan go over the full steps, but the goal for this is to share a routine you've made so someone else can easily use it on their Alexa app. So in order to do this, you're going to need a smartphone, a tablet with the Alexa app installed, and the routine already created in your Alexa app. So again, this information is going to be created in a blog for you. It's not quite up yet, but all of the step-by-step steps we're gonna go over very quickly. Um, and then off to the side, you'll see the thumbnail again of the sharing Alexa routines. Up at the top, you'll see the gallery, kind of what the menu looks like for sharing the routines. We have the little nameplate with our sharing Alexa routines, a step-by-step guide, and then off to the right, you'll see someone holding a phone. And we'll go ahead and move on to the steps for you guys. And if you have any questions, please feel free. We're almost at the end. You're welcome to unmute yourselves, raise your hand. We'll do our best to answer anything before we run out of time. Got just about 30 minutes left. So I'll go ahead and hand it over, Dan.
Okay, so like Michelle mentioned, this is to actually share from one Alexa to another. Um, So to start, we have to simply open the Alexa app. So you tap to open the Alexa app on your phone or tablet to get to the main screen. As you see on the right-hand side, this is what the Alexa app looks like on an iPad. So it may look a little different if you're using it on like an Android phone or a smaller cell phone. But this is the main screen, which really just shows kind of the basics with the activity and giving you kind of suggestions of things to do. And then for the next piece to get to the sharing portion, down at the bottom left corner, you'll see a red arrow pointing to three bars. That's considered the More button. So we tap onto the More button, and then up at the top, you'll see that there's many, many different boxes. There's music and more, communicate, lists and notes. In the second row, I have the arrow pointed to routines itself. So you tap on the routines and it'll take you to the next screen. Now, this should default to all the routines that you've created. So, say you've had it for a while, anything that you've done, like you see here, there's good morning lights on, there's let there be light, good night, the weekdays at 6 a.m., all of those things are something that we can share with somebody else. So, through that list, you tap on any of the one that you want. And then when you get into there, you'll see up at the top, it has the name of the routine itself. This one was Let There Be Light. And in the top right corner, the arrow is pointing to the three little dots. You tap the three little dots, and it's going to open a smaller menu on the bottom. So from that menu, you'll see where it says Share Routine. You click into that, and essentially what it does is, depending on where you're trying to share this from, it'll either give a link, essentially like a almost looks like a website link, or a QR code that someone can scan to instantly take it onto their device. So you tap on Share Routine, and before it fully shares it, it does confirm with you. to say like, hey, we're about to create this link. And it does this because with certain routines, you can have personal information on there. So it wants to make sure that what you're sharing doesn't have your personal information, or if it does, whoever you're sharing it with, that's actually who you want to have that information. And as long as that's all confirmed and okay, on the bottom, you could see the red arrow pointing to continue. You just tap on continue. And then from there, it lets you send the link. So this again, this is an iPad screen, so it comes up with mail, notes, different ways to get the link. If you have a phone, it may say something along the lines of like texting, or if you have social media on there, social media, you can post it through there. But whoever gets that link, when they tap on it, as long as they have the Alexa installed and they're looking to add these routines, it'll give them a prompt asking them if they want to add it to their own routines. And then they can.
And
And
this
this
is
helps.
Yeah, this is incredibly useful for, sorry, consumers that are wanting to share, but really for the advocates. If you guys are working with someone and that you've already created some great routines in like your library of routines, it will help to share between you to other Alexa users. And so I thought this would be very useful for you guys to have and share. Again, we'll have this as a blog, so it's just like the other training guides. We just didn't have it ready for today's training, but there'll also be the blog and then the slide deck that gets sent out by email so you guys can refer to it as well. It's in all of this information is in the Alexa app as well. So you can jump onto the web. Um, I think now we have time for any questions. I know it's been pretty quiet. Um, is there anything that you guys wanted to go over before I jump into the last of the resources for you of other places that you can access information? And that can go for anybody on staff. If you guys have questions, you're welcome to throw it in the chat too.
It's understandable. Like I've been doing IT and doing this stuff for a while, is if you've played with or used other smart home devices, a lot of this does seem like repetition. And this is why me and Michelle kind of really wanted to put out there that this is very helpful for after the fact, that if say you need to send this to somebody's struggling with something, like you guys have the resources there to always refer back to give to other people, even if you yourself may really understand it already.
Okay, so we've got a canned question. We've got can I share a routine with more than one person? That's one. And will
Mhm.
that ensure privacy amongst consumers?
So as far as the sharing piece goes, yes, the sharing, essentially what it does is it just creates the link itself, and that can be distributed to whoever you want at that point. So say for instance, if you did have some sort of social media, you post it onto the social media, anyone that goes to that one can just have that added to their to their devices. And as far as the privacy aspect goes, that kind of refers back to one of the previous parts of like before you share it, it always wants to make sure that what you're sharing is what you want to share. Um, that way, you're not hitting a link, sending it to somebody, and immediately say it sends out your address or it sends out something. So when it comes to privacy, it's really your kind of the gatekeeper of that, and you have to make sure that you are not sharing those things. But as far as the links that you send out afterwards, it's only connected to the routine. You don't have to worry about that being attached to anything else inside of your ecosystem.
Awesome, awesome. I think there was a question earlier. Can the smart switch also be used with other types of light switches besides the toggle? And I think you mentioned that in there. We didn't show it in the video,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, so in the video I mentioned it, but we didn't I didn't have the outlet or anything to show, but the rocker switches, which are those flat ones, it works the same. For my example, I had to use the really big spacers because for my light switch, that's kind of the only way I can get it to work. So for that instance, or something, or someone with a rocker switch that's very flat, or doesn't have a lot of space, you would more than likely just use a spacer that's really, really small because you want that to be as close to the light switch as possible. And as long as it's close enough, and it'll click on and off every time, you just put that sticker that comes in the box because that's supposed to help smooth out the sliding. You should be fine.
Okay, okay. And we chatted about this offline before we started today, but I wanted to mention that we also discussed if you need to erase routines, if you need to refresh your Alexa altogether. Um, as far as refreshing your Alexa altogether, we did cover that on Tuesday. So that's in the blog. And Amora, if you can jump up to, let me see what slide we're on. I think it was slide 16. I can show the thumbnail of what the blog looks like. So that would be the one for setting up the Amazon, yeah, setting up the Amazon Echo. So if you open up that blog at the bottom, I believe is going to be the instructions on how to reset the Echo itself. So if you're just trying to refresh it all together, but what about if we're wanting to just completely eliminate the routines, Daniel? What's the easiest way to do that?
So the routines themselves, I think when you factory reset something like the device itself, the routines are still saved within your Amazon account. So when you go into the routines menu where it shows like all of your routines listed, you can actually cherry pick kind of what's in there. And there is a section that says specifically like delete. The verbiage may be a little bit different depending on what you're opening it on. But once you get back to the routine section, that's where it'll let you go in and actually take the routines back out. So say if you've amassed a bunch of them, you don't use many of them anymore, you can go back in there and take them out. So you don't have to worry about just this ever-growing library that you can't cull.
Gotcha, gotcha. Perfect. Okay, so I think I'm not seeing any other questions. So Amor, I'm gonna have you perfect. Thank you. You read my mind. We're gonna jump over to the resources really quick of what's available. So we've already highlighted that the Ability Tools Smart Home blogs, which is what you have in the training guides, will be up on the blog post. They're already available. Additionally, in addition to the YouTube channel, we'll also have the video blog, the posts for the videos on a video blog as well. And so it'll be in the library where the blogs are. There's another section that shows video blogs. We haven't uploaded them yet, but that's another way to access them individually if you'd like. Here we have the hyperlink for Ability Tools, the YouTube Smart at Home playlist. So this is going to include all of the videos that we played today, everything that we played on Tuesday, and the two additional videos of these full trainings so that you can access them, go back to them if you'd like. Um, as far as the training guides, again, those are going to be in the blogs, but for those of you that follow us on our groups.io, they'll also be available there, housed under the documents section, and that way you can access those via our listserv. Um, there's a few other places I wanted to showcase for you as far as resources that could be very helpful. So we have the Alexa website. There's a section under there that has features and skills. That was really, really helpful. I'm going to see if I can drop that hyperlink in here as well. Let's see, I think I can put it in a chat here. If not, it will be in the slide deck. I'm not sure if I have the ability to do it. Then also you have how to use Alexa skills. There's a few different menus in there that could be very helpful. There's a communication one, there's an education and reference, game and trivia. There's a ton of them. I just selected a few of them. There's a smart home section. So these again, the skills are kind of those the ingredients, right? So that we could go ahead and built in. So you can take a look. There's going to be a lot of them that show that they're free. And so take a peek, see if you want to add anything to your routines. There's a lot of apps in there, so if there's something that you find useful or that you'd like to share, we'd be happy to take a look as well. We'd love to create a great database for folks to use, but again, we want to be very careful that we're not sharing private information. But we'd be happy to have you guys kind of help build a community. And if we get some really great resources together, we'd be happy to put some of that information on our groups.io page or on eventually onto our website. But with all that said, I want to give a big thank you to Daniel for joining us and being available to create all these videos and showing us how to do the step-by-step process. I know it's a bit tedious, but it's very, very important to be able to learn how to pair and build on those routines. So thank you so much for joining us and being available. We really appreciate it, and we hope that that it was enjoyable for you too. So thanks for joining us today and on Tuesday. And for the team, again, we have all the resources available. If you have any questions, we have um, these should be archived, I want to say probably by next Friday. So the two longer videos will be available on our YouTube channel by next Friday, probably sooner. But all these other tools that we've shared during this training are already available on the blog and on the YouTube playlist. Um, if you have any questions or if you have any concerns, you could reach out to us at abilitytools@cfilc.org, and we'll be happy to answer anything for you. And Daniel, did you want to say anything before we say bye?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy I could be here to help facilitate and help navigate this stuff a little bit. And I just want to say thank you for everybody that joined us today. It's much appreciated, and we hope that, kind of what we put together for you is helpful for you in some capacity.
Yes, yes. Thanks so much, everyone. We are right at about a little after 3:15, so we'll give you a little bit of your time back. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And if you have any questions, you know how to find us. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.